10 years ago, I stood in this same living room, clutching my laptop with trembling hands while my father turned purple with rage. Now I was back, watching through the bay window as my parents entertained their country club friends, completely unaware that tomorrow would change everything. "Miss Sullivan?" My driver's voice pulled me from my memories. "Would you like me to wait?" I checked my watch, 6:55 p.m. Right on time for my father's weekly dinner party, where he would undoubtedly be lamenting his company's impending doom to anyone who would listen. "No need, James. This won't take long." The front door opened before I could knock. Olivia, my younger sister, froze mid-greeting, her perfect hostess smile faltering. "Sophie? What are you can't be here." I stepped past her into the foyer, noting how little had changed. The same pretentious artwork, the same crystal chandelier, the same photos on the wall, though I'd been carefully cropped out of most of them. "Actually, I have an invitation." I pulled the cream-colored envelope from my bag. "Dad's secretary sent it last week. Something about discussing the future of Harrison Electronics." Olivia's face paled. She'd always been Dad's favorite, the obedient daughter who joined the family business straight out of college and never questioned his outdated methods. "You shouldn't have come. He's not ready to see you, not after. After he threw me out for daring to start my own tech company?" I finished quietly. "Or after he told everyone I was dead to him?" The sound of laughter from the living room cut through our tension. I recognized my father's booming voice, still full of forced confidence despite his company's crisis. "Harrison Electronics has weathered worse storms. We just need the right investor to understand our potential." Olivia grabbed my arm. "Please, Sophie. He's been under so much stress. The company's stock is tanking, the board is threatening to remove him." "I know." I gently removed her hand. "That's why I'm here." The living room fell silent as I entered. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. My father stood frozen by the fireplace, his face draining of color. "Hello, Dad," I said calmly. "I got your invitation to discuss investment opportunities." 10 years seemed to melt away. Suddenly I was 22 again, trying to explain my vision for a revolutionary app that could transform mobile security. I'd spent months developing the prototype, certain that Harrison Electronics could evolve beyond manufacturing outdated security systems. "This is the future, Dad," I'd pleaded, showing him my business plan. "We could be at the forefront of digital security." But Harrison Electronics didn't do digital nonsense, as my father called it. They made physical security systems, the same ones they'd been making for 30 years. When I announced I was leaving to start my own company, using my trust fund as seed money, he'd exploded. "No daughter of mine will waste time on tech startups." The words still echoed in my head. "If you walk out that door, don't ever come back." I'd walked out anyway, leaving behind my family, my inheritance, and my place in the Harrison dynasty. My mother had cried, Olivia had begged me to reconsider, but my father's words were final. "Get out. You're dead to us." Now, a decade later, I stood before them in an Armani suit that cost more than their monthly country club dues, watching my father struggle to form words. What are you doing here?" he finally managed. I settled into an armchair, crossing my legs carefully. "Like I said, I received an invitation to discuss Harrison Electronics' future. Your secretary was quite persistent about finding investors." My mother had recovered enough to start gathering champagne glass shards with trembling hands. "Darling, perhaps we should discuss this in private." "Why?" I smiled at the gathered guests, all longtime family friends who'd watched me grow up, then watched my father erase me from family history. "I'm sure everyone here knows about Harrison Electronics' situation. After all, the stock price drop made quite a splash in the business news." "You have no right," my father's voice shook with familiar rage. "This is a private matter." "Actually," I cut in smoothly, "as CEO of Quantum Security Solutions, I have every right to evaluate potential acquisitions. Your board has been quite cooperative in sharing financial details." The room went deadly quiet. One of my father's golf buddies choked on his drink. "Quantum Security?" he sputtered. "The tech company worth $4.2 billion at last valuation," I confirmed. "Though that's probably old news. Our new quantum encryption patent should boost that considerably." My father gripped the mantelpiece, his knuckles white. Quantum Security Solutions was the largest digital security company in the country. The same company he'd dismissed as a foolish pipe dream 10 years ago. That's your company? Olivia whispered. The very same startup Dad said would fail within 6 months. I turned back to my father. The one you said would destroy my life and waste my future. Mother stepped forward, ever the society hostess trying to smooth rough waters. Sophie, darling, your father was just trying to protect you. The tech industry is so unstable. Is it? I raised an eyebrow. Because Harrison Electronics stock has dropped 60% this year, while Quantum's has tripled. I pulled out my phone checking the time. But you're right, this is a conversation for tomorrow's board meeting. I just wanted to stop by and... I paused, savoring the moment. See the house one last time before the ownership changes. My father's face turned an alarming shade of red. What are you talking about? Oh, didn't the board tell you? They've accepted my offer to buy controlling interest in Harrison Electronics. Tomorrow morning, we'll sign the papers transferring ownership to Quantum Security Solutions. I stood up, brushing invisible lint from my sleeve. I thought you should hear it from me first. After all, we're still family, aren't we? The irony hung heavy in the air. My father swayed slightly, looking like he might collapse. Olivia rushed to support him while my mother pressed a hand to her chest, tears welling in her eyes. You can't, he whispered. This company, it's my life's work. Was your life's work, I corrected gently. Now it's just another failing business that needs modernization. Fortunately, Quantum specializes in bringing outdated systems into the digital age. I moved toward the door, pausing to look at the family photos on the wall, the ones I'd been erased from. The board meeting is at 9 a.m. sharp. Try not to be late, Dad. It would be awkward for the outgoing CEO to miss his own replacement ceremony. Sophie, please, my mother called after me, her voice breaking. We can talk about this. Like you talked about it 10 years ago? I turned back one last time. When you stood silent while he threw me out. When you let him cut me off without a word. I shook my head. Tomorrow isn't about family, Mother. It's just business. That's what Dad always wanted, isn't it? As I walked out, I heard my father's golf buddy whisper, Harrison, did you really kick out a billionaire tech genius? I smiled, climbing into my waiting car. Tomorrow would be interesting indeed. James looked at me in the rearview mirror as we pulled away. Everything all right, Miss Sullivan? I watched my childhood home disappear behind us, thinking about the scared young woman I'd been 10 years ago, carrying nothing but a laptop and a dream. Everything's perfect, James. Though we should stop by the office. I have some paperwork to review before tomorrow's acquisition. After all, I had a family company to dismantle. The Harrison Electronics boardroom hadn't changed in 10 years. The same mahogany table dominated the space. The same leather chairs lined its edges. Even the same outdated security keypads flanked the doors, a perfect symbol of my father's resistance to change. I arrived early, watching through my laptop's camera as board members filed in. They didn't recognize me sitting quietly in the corner, dressed in a sleek black suit that cost more than their monthly salaries. To them, I was probably just another young tech executive, here to witness Harrison Electronics fall. My father arrived last, looking like he hadn't slept. Olivia trailed behind him, clutching a stack of papers, still playing the role of devoted daughter and executive assistant. Our mother had apparently decided to skip the bloodbath entirely. Where is everyone? Dad demanded, looking around the half-empty boardroom. We're supposed to have a full board for this vote. The other members will be attending virtually, explained Walter Chin, the board chairman. Given the sensitive nature of today's meeting. My father's face darkened. Cowards. Too afraid to look me in the eye while they sell my company to some tech upstart. I closed my laptop with a soft click. Actually, they're attending virtually because Quantum Security Solutions has already modernized their home offices with our latest security systems. Unlike this room, which still uses keypads from 2010. The silence was spectacular. My father spun around, his face draining of color as he recognized me. Olivia dropped her papers, sending them scattering across the floor. What is she doing here? Dad's voice shook with rage. Walter cleared his throat. Mr. Harrison, I'd like to introduce Sophie Sullivan, CEO of Quantum Security Solutions. Though I believe you already know each other. Sullivan. One of the board members frowned. I thought your daughter's name was Harrison? I changed it, I said calmly, standing up. The day my father threw me out for daring to suggest that digital security was the future. This is ridiculous, my father sputtered. I demand she leave immediately. This is a conflict of interest. Actually, Walter cut in, Miss Sullivan has every right to be here. As of this morning, Quantum Security Solutions owns 47% of Harrison Electronics shares. With the board's vote today, that will become a controlling interest. I walked to the head of the table, my father's usual seat. Shall we begin? I've prepared a detailed presentation on Quantum's plans for modernizing Harrison Electronics. You can't do this, my father's voice had turned pleading. This company, it's been in our family for 3 generations. Had been, I corrected, pulling up my presentation. Until you decided family was less important than controlling everything. I turned to the board members, both present and virtual. Let's talk about the future of Harrison Electronics. Over the next hour, I laid out Quantum's vision. We would transform Harrison's outdated physical security systems into a hybrid platform, integrating their hardware expertise with our cutting-edge software. The stock price would stabilize. Jobs would be saved. Harrison Electronics wouldn't die, it would evolve. This is a hostile takeover, my father interrupted, his face flushed. She's trying to destroy everything I built. No, Dad, I said quietly. I'm trying to save it. Just like I tried 10 years ago. I pulled up the next slide. My original business plan from a decade ago, the one he'd dismissed without reading. This was my proposal back then. Digital security integration, cloud-based monitoring, AI-driven threat detection. Everything I built at Quantum could have been Harrison Electronics' future. I met his eyes steadily. But you were too proud to listen to your daughter. Olivia spoke up from her corner, her voice small. The board already has the votes, doesn't it? That's why the others aren't here in person. I nodded. They voted this morning. It was unanimous. Traitors, my father hissed, looking around the room. After everything I've done for this company. The company is failing, George, Walter said firmly. We're 3/4 away from bankruptcy. Miss Sullivan's offer isn't just generous. It's our only hope for survival. My father slumped in his chair, suddenly looking every bit of his 65 years. And what happens to me? That depends, I said, closing my laptop. Quantum could use someone with experience in physical security systems. A consulting position perhaps. If you're willing to finally learn some new tricks. He stared at me, recognition slowly dawning. They were the same words he'd spat at me 10 years ago, when I'd begged him to let me show him how technology could transform our family business. You planned this, he whispered. All of it. You waited until we were vulnerable. No, Dad. You did this. Every time you refused to adapt, every time you chose pride over progress. I stood up, smoothing my jacket. I just built something better while you weren't watching. Olivia stepped forward, tears in her eyes. What about me? I've given everything to this company. I softened slightly. You have valuable experience, Olivia. If you're willing to learn our systems, there could be a place for you at Quantum. Absolutely not, our father roared, finding his anger again. I forbid it. No Harrison will work for. That's enough. I cut him off, my voice sharp. You don't get to forbid anything anymore. The company is mine now. And unlike you, I don't throw family members out for having different ideas. The rest of the meeting passed in a blur of signatures and legal documents. By noon, Harrison Electronics was officially a subsidiary of Quantum Security Solutions. As the board members filed out, I remained seated, looking at the empty chair where my father had sat for 30 years. Sophie. Olivia lingered by the door. Did you really plan this all along? I thought about the scared young woman I'd been, sleeping on friends' couches, coding through the night while building Quantum from scratch. No. I planned to build something meaningful. Something that would change the world. I met her eyes. The fact that it let me save the family company is just ironic justice. Later that evening, as I packed up my father's office, my mother appeared in the doorway. She looked older, more fragile than the night before. I should have stopped him, she said quietly. 10 years ago when he threw you out. I should have said something. I carefully wrapped the photo of my grandfather, the original founder of Harrison Electronics, in bubble wrap. Yes, you should have. Can you ever forgive us? I placed the wrapped photo in my box, thinking about the decade of silence, the missed holidays, the family photos I'd been erased from. This isn't about forgiveness, Mom. It's about building something new from the ashes of Dad's pride. I picked up the box, heading for the door. The company will survive. It will grow. And maybe if you're all willing to finally change, our family can too. 3 months later, I sat in my new office, formerly my father's, reviewing the latest integration reports. Harrison Electronics stock had stabilized. Our hybrid security systems were generating buzz in the industry. And my father, surprisingly, had accepted the consulting position, though he still refused to meet my eyes in meetings. Olivia had thrown herself into learning our systems, showing an aptitude for technology that would have shocked our father 10 years ago. She was currently running our hardware division, bridging the gap between old and new. My phone buzzed, a message from my mother. Family dinner this Sunday? Your father agreed to try. I stared at the message, thinking about the long road ahead. Then I glanced at my grandfather's photo, now hanging on my office wall. He'd built this company from nothing, driven by a vision of the future. Just like I had. Okay, I typed back. But we're having it at my house. Time for some new traditions. I turned back to my work, surrounded by the empire I'd built and the family legacy I'd saved. Sometimes success isn't just about proving people wrong. It's about being strong enough to help them change. Even if it takes 10 years and a corporate takeover to do it.